Welcome to the AI for Career Success video overview by Curt Robbins. We're experts at AI coaching and helping professionals like you and your employees upskill in AI. Today, we're diving into a really crucial event in the conversation around AI infrastructure. It's all about a governor's veto in Maine that has put the tech industry's rapid expansion right under the microscope. We'll be using reporting from outlets like The Guardian, NBC News, WGME, and the Bangor Daily News to unpack what exactly happened and, more importantly, why it matters to all of us.
So let's get right to it. On April 24, 2024, Maine's Governor Janet Mills vetoed a bill that would have created the very first statewide pause on building large new data centers anywhere in the U.S. This one decision really shines a light on this growing conflict between economic development and the absolutely immense resource demands of the AI industry. So this veto, it stopped what would have been a landmark piece of legislation. It was basically designed to hit the pause button on the rapid expansion of AI's physical footprint, giving the states some breathing room to study the long-term effects.
Now, to really get why this veto is such a big deal, we need to zoom out a bit and look at the broader context. All across the country, states are starting to pump the brakes and question this unchecked expansion of data centers. These are the massive computer warehouses that power everything from cloud computing to artificial intelligence.
This brings us to the central question communities are facing. Why are they starting to reconsider this AI boom? Well, the answer really boils down to the sheer scale of the industry's resource requirements. It's just staggering.
And when you look at the core concerns, they're pretty significant. These facilities consume an enormous amount of energy, which puts a huge strain on local electrical grids. And what does that do? It can lead to rising electricity costs for residents and for businesses. Then, of course, there are these profound environmental questions about their impact on air and water, which is making a lot of people questioning the pace of all this development.
And the pressure to build is just immense. U.S. tech giants have pledged to spend over $600 billion on AI data centers this year alone. That's an absolutely massive wave of investment, and it's forcing state and local governments to make some really tough decisions very, very quickly.
Okay, so how did Maine's legislature try to respond to these growing concerns? Well, they passed a bill known as LD 307, with the goal of creating a temporary freeze on new development.
So what the bill proposed was a temporary halt on approvals for any new data center that needed more than 20 megawatts of power. This pause was set to last until October of 2027, and the whole idea was to give a state-appointed council time to really analyze the full impact on the grid, on people's bills, and on the environment.
But, this wasn't some simple for or against technology debate. The veto really came down to a classic conflict. You have this broad, statewide policy clashing head-on with the very specific, very acute economic needs of one particular community.
The bill's sponsor, Representative Melanie Sachs, she really laid out the case for the pause. She argued that just moving forward without taking a breath risks the stability of the grid, the affordability of electricity, and the state's environmental health. And these are consequences that would be felt by absolutely everyone in Maine. But Governor Mills, she came at it from a very different angle. In her veto letter, she actually said she supported the idea of a moratorium. Her opposition wasn't to the principle of it, but to the fact that the bill failed to make an exception for a specific, absolutely critical project in the town of Jay.
So let's talk about the town of Jay. This community suffered a truly devastating economic blow. Their paper mill closed in 2023 right after a major explosion. This one closure just eliminated hundreds of jobs and wiped out over a fifth of the town's entire tax base, leaving a massive industrial brownfield site in its place. So for Jay, this proposed data center wasn't just another development, it was a lifeline. A $550 million redevelopment project was planned for that old mill site. This represented a massive potential investment for a community in real economic distress.
And the benefits promised at the time were huge. The project was expected to create over 800 construction jobs, more than 100 high-paying permanent positions, generate significant tax revenue, and, importantly, revitalize a site that had been the heart of the town's economy for generations.
So this is the central trade-off, laid out as clearly as it can be. On one side, you have these legitimate statewide concerns about grid stability, electricity costs, and environmental impact. And on the other, you have a local community's desperate need for jobs, tax revenue, and redevelopment. This is the exact dilemma Governor Mills had to solve.
Now, the governor's veto wasn't the end of the story in Maine.
Not by a long shot. Her actions afterwards and what's happening in other states really show that this debate is just getting started.
After the veto, Governor Mills actually took a pretty nuanced approach. While she blocked the blanket moratorium to save that J project, she then announced plans for an executive order to create the very same study council the bill had called for. She also signed separate legislation to prevent data centers from getting state tax incentives, basically signaling that this industry is not going to get a free ride.
And you have to understand Maine is not alone in this. This is all part of a growing national trend. Over a dozen other states are looking at similar legislation right now to regulate or slow down data center development. Even Virginia, which is a global hub for data centers, is grappling with this. And at the federal level, lawmakers have even introduced legislation for a national moratorium.
So this all brings us to the final critical question that Maine's experience forces all of us to think about. How do we, as communities, balance the incredible promise of AI development with its very real physical and economic costs? There are definitely no easy answers here, but it's a conversation that is going to shape the future of technology and our communities for years to come. Thank you for watching. This is where we teach you AI and help you get smarter than your competition. If you like these videos, use the QR code at the beginning to buy us a coffee or hire us to coach you or your employees in AI. And please subscribe to the AI for Career Success YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and share to help us reach a wider audience.